So I've done 7 years of like personal brand slash B2B brand consulting. My coffee brand was Café Foncé. It was a play on the exotic French word. Obviously, you have to think about your retention if you want to like keep growing profitably your brand. I would say that the biggest problem is lack of simplicity. It's kind of the Steve Jobs approach. It's like do less, but do it better.
This is The Retention Road, a podcast that uncovers actionable retention strategies for your D2C brand. Deb interviews the top in-house retention marketers to help you increase repeat purchase rate, drive customer loyalty, and build community. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Retention Road podcast. Today, I'm joined with Simon Paquin, the CMO of Pilgrim Canada. Simon, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Deb, and you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. How cold is it in Canada right now?
It's super cool, and that's the classic weather question, right? So it's kind of funny, if I may. It's my first direct-to-consumer specific podcast. Most of the time, I used to record podcasts with like French-speaking people talking about their service business, and like, I've hit everything, every conversations that I had on YouTube because when I switched my channel to English. But I had like 40 or 60-ish episodes of like some French knowledge, you know?
Oh, amazing. I mean, your English is amazing, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Not absolutely that my English is good. My English is okay.
Oh, it's great.
Thank you. All right, so let's get into it. Simon, could you give me like let's say a 90-second intro of your career?
Yeah, 90-second. Wow. Okay, so I've done 7 years of like personal brand slash B2B brand consulting. Just last year, 2022, I joined Pilgrim as the CMO because I wanted to be feet deep into e-commerce. When I found about e-commerce, it was I think 2020 when I started my own coffee brand. And back then, it was just like a branding exercise to test if the theories of the B2B world were working with actual e-commerce strategies. And what I found out is that actual like brand growth strategies actually applies and scale product brands a lot faster than service brands. Service brands oftentimes have, from what I found, obviously, like oftentimes they have like kind of the bottleneck at the service level if the person is not like able to scale the team as fast as necessary or like build productized offer and stuff like that. So I was like, let me just try to do some e-commerce stuff. Therefore, start my own coffee brand, incubate it, and here we are today. I sold the brand to my roaster because it was just a passion project at the time.
Right.
And now I'm the CMO of Pilgrim, and I've been here for almost a year now. Well,
of course. I mean that is amazing. Almost a year at Pilgrim, and that's D2C e-commerce completely. Right.
It's actually a fun fact. It's 3 verticals. Like we're in wholesale a lot. We have our own stores and we have the e-commerce side. And I'm overseeing the retail and the wholesale, but I'm mostly focused as the like kind of the digital marketing brain behind the e-com growth strategy.
That is brilliant. I mean, digital marketing is the lifeblood of a D2C organization. And retention is what we are going to talk about now, is what sustains a brand, right?
Yeah. Can I add just something on retention? Like, please. I'm a complete green thumb on retention. I don't know if that's the expression, because ever since I started my mandate, as you can imagine, we were very, very focused on restructuring the tech stack, the backend, the processes, the logistics, and focusing on growth. So like growth was the number one KPI, but I know I have a few things, retention on the topic of retention that I want to talk to you about later, but I'll let you lead with the questions and stuff.
Oh, amazing. I can't wait to get into that. But before that, since just for the listeners, and I wanted to talk a little bit, like take 2 minutes of our time and talk about your brand. Yeah. It's called Nordic Cafe, is it? In English?
No, actually, that's the brand that I've sold my coffee brand to. So my coffee brand was Café Foncé. It was a play on the exotic French word. Like it was going to be just a dark roast coffee. Yeah, no bitterness. That was the brand. The product was great. But like it was not logical to get 40 bags just for myself per month. That's the minimum order that I had to do. But therefore, I had to sell the clientele, the B2B the client list. And the direct-to-consumer is funneled to Nordic Cafe, which is like a client of mine now that I help with grow his own brand.
That is amazing. I mean, selling a brand and having them as a client, that's the dream job, right?
Yeah. Some people dunk on people that consult on Twitter, but I love consulting. It's super fun. Sometimes people just need guidance. Like, it's just fun. It's fun to do.
I love it. I always do it on the side of my full-time job. I cannot live without it. It's helping people is a passion, and it's fun by itself. I agree. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I'd have to chat about everything else. Now let's get into retention. All right. Pilgrim Canada. what's if I were if I were to ask you, hey Simon, can you talk to me about your retention strategy? What are the
Yeah.
first things that come to your mind for Pilgrim Canada?
Yeah. It's a good question because retention, when I think about retention globally, like as a macro trend or something that you have to focus on, like obviously you have to think about your retention if you want to like keep growing profitably your brand. Like it's just it's at the base, at the core, it's a no-brainer. But there are some challenges depending on every situation that you could be in, meaning that for us, in our case, Pilgrim Canada is a distributor. We have the exclusive license to distribute the Pilgrim products in Canada. So that means that we don't necessarily have a chance or an opportunity to influence the product line when we receive the goods, because when we receive the goods from Denmark, we actually just market them, like, right, as a distributor. It's kind of like when Nike just sell the license to Canada and the Canadian Nike branch will just go and sell the products, right? In another that's a sphere, right? But like another point on that, what that means is like when we get customer feedbacks, for example, that's something that I look daily with the tickets with my team and stuff like that. And when I look at customer feedback, like I know what we could tell the Danes, which are the head office, the worldwide office bureau, right. I'll call it what you want. And we influence the product development at like this stage, meaning that like right now they know what they're going to produce 3 years from now.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So like the relationship with like the suppliers and everything like that, like it's already a process that's been going on for almost 40 years now. So what we do is like we get insights, we give it to them, and the product timeline is a bit longer than if we were just making like a next batch, you know? Because we have so many SKUs. It's a huge machine.
Yeah.
That being said, retention, how do I think about retention with Pilgrim? It's mostly about certain KPIs. So I remember I mentioned that we have like our own retail stores.
Right.
So we have our own retail stores. We have the wholesale business unit, which is kind of big. It's about 40% of our whole business, but the retail store and the online store is about 60% combined. Okay. Meaning that we get 2 touch points where we can collect data. We have the little POS systems in our store that we collect data from, and we have the Shopify site, which we collect people's orders and process them and everything like that. What I look for most of the time, again, feel free to interrupt me if anything, but what I look for most of the time is is certain KPIs, right? So how much does it cost to acquire a customer and or reacquire them? Because I look at the cohort journeys in the Triple Whale currently. I'm not a sponsor. Like I just like the product. It's fine. It's great. It's a great dashboard. I look at the cohort journeys of people that are qualified, quote unquote, returning customers, and I look at the days between purchase and the average days of literally like since a customer will like buy the first thing either in store or online and buy again. And I try to understand how we can reduce that kind of not churn. It's not the right word, but time in between, if I may say. So that's the main KPI on retention that I look forward to just keep bringing down.
Okay, so from the time of acquisition to the time of returning, so that's a time period that you see how long.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is that? Like, I mean, why is that particular time so important?
It's because, okay, so let me just give a bit of a background on Pilgrim, which I should have probably done at the beginning. So Pilgrim is a jewelry brand. We are what we call a bridge jewelry, meaning we're not fine jewelry, solid gold and stuff. We are plated, but we're at the high end of plating. We're not like the cheap accessory store, which like people don't like. If you go to Walmart, you'll find some jewelry that look fine, but it's $9 and nobody wants that unless you're like 12 years old, right? Of course, I'm generalizing, but like it's just a way of saying it. So when we sell, it's funny because the competitors that are in our market right now in Canada are selling a lot, I think, well, in my perspective, they're selling a lot higher based on probably like the purchasing power that they don't have that we do have with the Danes, right? The Denmark house. So what this means is like we sell at like, if I may, like average that, like we sell on average, let's say $65 to $90 per order, either in stores or online combined. Like online is a bit higher than in our stores because most of the time in stores is just like walk-ins, people that are in malls and they just stop by and like, oh, that looks cool. And they average like $65, $70 per order. So this is how, I don't know if that answers your question, but this is how I think about it, because when people buy at that price range in when I say bridge jewelry, is just because it's not, like I said, it's not accessories, but it's not fine. So it's kind of like it's a piece of clothing you might use for a few nights out, but then not wear again type thing. You know, it's fashion statements, it's trendy jewelry, it's new collections, new focuses, like a lot of the time during the year. So it's an ephemeral piece, if I may say.
Okay, got it. So you won't be like wearing it. It's like, you know, wearing new clothes, right? You go to a function, 10 people see you, you cannot wear it again. So
if the suit is pink, yeah, of course I get you.
whatever. So like the jewelry is, I think, similar. I mean, I know for a fact that I have t-shirts that I went to functions to, and I cannot wear them because I feel so conscious about it, and I cannot do that. So I go back to that online store, and I'm like, hey, what's new now? Right?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think
New in.
yeah, exactly. So I think you have a similar experience with Pilgrim.
Yeah, we're a fashion brand at the core, and right now the Danes, the design ed office in Denmark, they're very focused on bringing the Pilgrim lifestyle to market, which is a bit pulling from the fact that it's product driven by the jewelry, but a bit going into like, this is what the cool Gen Z people are gonna be wearing, and like this is how they stack it. If you look at pilgrim.net, Pilgrim Jewelry on Instagram, it's the Danes Instagram, the TikTok as well. We have our own social media channels. But yeah, it's very like trendy, based on the fashion week of the last 6 months, like whatever is going to be popular on Vogue type thing, like that. So we kind of stick to trends, and it's like you said, like if you go on our website, the first tab is new in, which is what everyone's clicking on.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was noticing. New in. I mean, that is very interesting because you don't see that everywhere. Like it's not a regular day-to-day very brand where you just like, okay, cool, I'm gonna wear this every day, like a ring or a necklace.
So we have different product
course,
verticals, meaning we have like the classic stuff that you can wear every day, but since it's not fine, it might oxidate normally over like a shorter period of time than like a chain. Like I have like a gold chain since I was 12. Like I have this chain forever, But we do have some classic stuff that are very like minimalist, sleek, and like just it looks good in any situation. But I think I would say right now, as of 2023, it's about 40% of our business is fashion items. So people want to make a statement, is what we're finding out. It was a lot less like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We have established that people are coming back for this trendy jewelry that's coming out maybe every week, and if the Danes have it every day. So
well, let me give you a little bit of context here. So like what we do is we have 4 collections. We have 4 big collections that we split throughout the seasons. So like as you would any other fashion brand, like spring, we drop like the day of, we have a sneak peek, we have a few capsules during the season, and that's all part of one seasonal collection, right? And we do that 4 times a year. So you can think of it as like 12 to 20 drops a year in a sense.
That is still brilliant. I mean, for a brand your size, that is pretty big. I mean, 12 drops a year.
It's a lot of work.
It is definitely a lot of work. Okay, cool. So interesting. Now coming back to the core of it, how do you get them back? So what are the channels that you're employing to actually get them to, come back every time and buy $90 worth of jewelry?
Do you want me to give you my biggest insight that I had like just last week?
Please do. Go ahead.
Okay, so the biggest insight that I have, like, of course, I can talk about SMS, email, and like Facebook ads, Google retargeting.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Yeah. That exists, but I think, well, let me split my answers into. Okay, let me just like keep people on hold, and just to increase the retention of the pod.
I love that.
So we do actually like a lot of focus ads work to retain people, meaning like we retarget people that have previously purchased before, didn't purchase in a few days, like 30, 60 or 90 days, and we target them with specific like contents, right? Across Facebook, Instagram, Google, TikTok. It's more organic. We don't invest right now in TikTok just due to the lack of resource. That internal team is super small, so we're trying to be focused. And we do SMS, recently SMS, and we do email, kind of like our email campaigns and flows are pretty strong. It's about 40% of our revenue, right? So yeah, it's weirdly big. I didn't know it was qualified as I, but it's apparently
20 to 25% is the average for DTC brands. But if you say 40% is bringing in the returning customers,
yes, and
I
think which is what most DTC brands don't have yet, or have when they start, is like we have our own stores. So like it's easy for you
that
to
is
say,
also
like,
direct
I'm
to
gonna
consumer.
go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like we own the retail channel. It's not like we are in the stockist stores, as like we are in 300 plus stockists in Montreal and the greater Canada, like nationwide. But I think our stores help a lot, because I would sometimes do like, I'm on lululemon.com, I would look at the sign, I'm like, I don't want to buy it online. I want to see the shirt before I buy it. So like I'm sure people do that in their thinking process when they see jewelry online, right? just to answer your question, like the biggest insight that I have was when we synced our SMS numbers from customer profiles that have signed up into our POS systems in our retail stores to the actual like PostScript SMS system that we use to actually market with SMS. We do marketing with SMS. But the biggest win, look at that. Deb, you're gonna freak out. The biggest win. I'm giving a huge hack that we discovered.
I'm ready.
I still want to
give it to me.
I still want to like dive deep into that, like technically with the team. But what we know is like SMS is very expensive if you do big campaign send outs, right?
Agreed.
But SMS automated flows is extremely cheap, and it's for extremely qualified people. Meaning for like $2-3 a day, as of my small sample size that I have right now, because we do like I think we have like 4 flows including the split of languages going on, 8 flows total going out like on a daily basis. Meaning like if you go on our site, for example, you go on pilgrim.ca, you look at something that you might find interesting, you put it in your cart, life happens, your baby's screaming, you're running, you're doing something, you have to run, right? Immediately or soon thereafter, you will receive an email from us. Hey, you've left that in your cart, blah 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 blah. The classic,
abandoned cart email, abandoned cart.
Yeah. The classic. The abandoned. I don't know what they call it now, like browse abandonment or abandoned cart, whatever. It doesn't matter. Same purpose, or close to. I'm gonna get dunked on probably for saying that, but whatever. Terms, nuance. So then the PostScript team was super smart to help me figure out that. Okay, so somebody received an email, they don't open it, 6 hours later or 4 hours later, I don't remember. Like, send them an SMS since their profile are synced to their Klaviyo profiles.
Yeah.
Meaning that they get the SMS flow. And what's more actionable than an SMS?
Much faster than email. It's more instant. Yeah.
Exactly. So what we found, small sample size again, we had 14, like in one single flow, we had 14 SMS sent, 6 clicked, 4 converted.
Holy shit.
That's like a $600, I think, value on 4 SMS. So then I was like, oh my God. So the fact that we...
How much did you pay for the SMS? Out of
0.007 cents each.
Okay, so
let me see if I'm not lying. Like,
less than
it's insane. Less than 10 cents. Like, let me just see on our account for sure.
Share your screen if you can, but I wouldn't recommend it.
I can share your screen. So let me say. So that's the flow, the fee. I'll let you know later. But if I'm not mistaken, like the billing aspects of because oftentimes people will bill in US, but we're in Canada. So
right.
If I look here, let's say, for example, yesterday we spent $3.60 on automated flows.
How many SMS was that? How many SMS was that?
It was about 20. So if I look like the browse abandonment one, we had 27 cents. So for a $0.6, but like it's super qualified people, right? So I don't want to say like wrong number stuff, but the point is what I found, like it was kind of like a happy accident. Is like when we sync the SMS number from the POS systems with the Shopify profiles, with the Klaviyo profiles, it kind of like gave us a lot more clarity on our customers, like touch points. So SMS became way more valuable for us, way more.
Okay, this is interesting because this touches upon acquisition as well as retention, right? Because abandonment, I mean, they might, if it's a returning customer, they might have already purchased. They're browsing the site again, so you hit them with an SMS after 4 hours. They come back and they purchase again, right?
That plays on my retention KPI, right? The days between purchase, the time between purchase, like however you want to call it. Like that's that's an happy accident, like I said, because it plays on that KPI without us necessarily planning for it. But the fact that like the automations are happening in the backend, which I want to like dive deep into that and make a lot more automation.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Talk to me about that SMS automation thing, because this is the real nugget here.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm super green with all this stuff because I'm an action taker. I operate. I don't just like read. So we've set it up, I think 5 weeks ago, the whole SMS system, and we have like a 4x ROI right now. So it's kind of interesting. So we sold about like 8,000 over like $2,000 of spend. It's kind of interesting because I didn't expect it to be, and Wes, the guy from PostScript that I was talking with, like I didn't expect it to be as fast ROI action as it was, right? So in terms of SMS flow, if I look back in our account, let me see. So the basic one, and by the way, like this is not like an ad for Postscript, but the team is
For sure.
amazing. The white glove onboarding is very good.
I love it. Postscript, you should sponsor this podcast if you're listening to
Yeah.
it. But yeah.
I'll send it to them after that. So okay, look, so like the basic team that we have, like let's look at the last 30 days. We have set up the abandoned checkout in both
Right.
languages for new customers and returning customers. We have the browse and abandonment flow, which is for when somebody will view, they call it like view a product. And we have our welcome series, which exclude people that like either in both that have checked out, that well, it excludes people that didn't check out. So it goes to people that have checked out, right? It's a bit different than Klaviyo, like in terms of email flow structure. But
just left their phone number and left. They never purchased from you. Yeah.
Well, both. So we have like an automation flow for people that did check out and or just entered their number, consented, but did not check out. So it's kind of like a little distinction there. Yeah, these are the basic flow that we have right now. But like I want to go into
talk to me about that retention flow exactly. How you're bringing back more customers, especially that 4x ROI thing. I want to dive deep into that.
The 4x, to be totally transparent, is account wide. So it's campaigns plus flows together. So we sold, like I said, about 8,000 with a $2,000, well, 1.7 thousand Canadian dollars spent.
Right.
Keep in mind, I'm just trying shit right now, so it might be higher if I just be more if I'm more conservative with cash, but it's very interesting. So we did about, let me see. Most of our clicks obviously came from campaigns. It comes from the sync between our POS systems and the website customer profile data. So you can think like we have about 300 to 500 new SMS and email per week just from our stores. So that's huge. Like we don't pay for that acquisitions outside of like the operation expenses of having the stores.
I mean,
well,
store
kind of, you know.
Store expenses, yeah.
So does that answer your question? I'm not sure if I.
Yeah. So partly, I wanna actually, you know, I'm sorry for harping on the same point, but I wanna
no, it's good.
Dive deep into that SMS thing, right? Yeah. So talk to me about what those individual SMS are. Like, what kind of SMS are you sending? What are the hooks? Yeah. All that stuff.
Interesting. So I'm in a testing phase, right? So whatever I'm gonna say is probably not what I would recommend to anyone or everyone, because it's testing for our audiences.
Everybody else can test it also.
Yeah. So let me just give you a bit of like behind the scene of the strategy behind it, the thinking behind it. So when we started with SMS, of course, we had a few people on Klaviyo that already signed up. They were like on the sign up form. They were like, oh yeah, sure, send me SMS. It's fine. Like they were open to it, right? These people super hot. They're very like, they're responsive. 50% of them open the SMS and they click, and that's all nice.
Right.
But people from the retail stores, they don't necessarily like wait for your next SMS after they bought something by just passing by. So they're not as engaged as hot. I could say like either customer is cold or hot or warm, whatever, but there's kind of cold, warmish. So like these customers are nice. So what we've noticed, so what we're doing right now is like we have a strategy in place, which is we're going to send 3 types of campaigns to the whole list and see if we can filter out like people that are just not interested in opening or clicking on the SMS based on the 3 campaign structure send out. So what is it, right? The first one was a new product launch. A new product verticals that we're launching. You have a question?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm also
product
launch
that we're launching. Yeah. Okay. So the second one is we sent it like I think a few days ago. It was that's another thing. Like you have to pace yourself with SMS. You don't want to spam people because then you get a lot of unsubscribe, which could have just stayed if you were a bit more parsimonious, like if that's the right word. So the second one is I think it's a Valentine's Day sneak peek of like what's gonna be happening with a giveaway we're launching. Like if I'm not mistaken, I have to speak with my team. So we have one that's more like themed around like the vibe of the brand. Like this is what we're all about. We're gonna celebrate V-Day with all the arts products and blah blah blah. And the third SMS that we want to send that hasn't been sent yet, but is planned to a bit later in the future is a BOGO, buy one get one. That's interesting because as a retailer, we have a lot of stock that are kind of last restock that we will not repurchase as a product, as a SKU altogether, right? So we kind of have a sell section kind of like year long, but not necessarily focusing on it. So what I want to do is I want to take the whole list, the 35,000 people that we have, see what they react to the most, and then segment them by types of action that they take. So like, for example, after the 3 types of SMS that I'll be sending, I want to segment people into like, okay, if you didn't open any of those 3 types of SMS, let me just save some money and not contact you like as frequently as I would with people that are interested, you know?
Yep. Makes
That's the
sense.
thinking right now that we're having with it.
Okay, that's interesting. What about during the test phase? You said you had an automation flow,
Yep.
right? For
The flows are
people,
there since the beginning, yeah.
right? Okay, so from the beginning, for people who have purchased and haven't purchased in a certain period of time, talk to me about that flow.
Yeah, that's kind of a useless flow for now because we set up the SMS system about 4 weeks ago, right? So like I don't
Okay.
have such interesting historical data. I'm gonna wait a few more weeks, like maybe up to 60,
No problem.
60 or 80 days. Yeah.
It's 2023. It should be easy to work with creators by now. Yet most of us are still stuck in spreadsheets, scouring databases, and still paying for inauthentic content. That's where Bounty comes in. Bounty is a Shopify app that puts TikTok, UGC, and partnerships on autopilot for your brand. Yeah. Incentivize your customers to share videos on TikTok after they purchase. Those who get paid on a CPM basis. All content is automatically saved in the app where you can manage usage rights and spark codes in just a few clicks. So start automating UGC and creator marketing for your store. Simply visit bounty.co to book a demo. That's bounty.co to book your demo today.
Let's move on to another point, because that is something very controversial as per DDC Twitter, right? If you go to DDC Twitter,
love these guys.
A lot of them talk about Facebook retargeting doesn't work, right?
Okay.
Or retargeting doesn't work in general. If you follow the right folks, they keep talking about it.
Yeah, I see some stuff.
you say that retargeting actually, you can bring returning customers with retargeting, right? You have been doing that for a while. Talk to me about that strategy.
Through ads or through SMS, you're saying?
Through ads, retargeting the Facebook ads. You said in the beginning, you said you were running retargeting ads.
Yeah, well, like most people know right now, the Advantage Plus campaigns exist. They work. You just have to make it work for your brand. What do I mean by they work? I think Cody Plufker on his podcast mentioned something very interesting. It was like, it's just less management. It's just less manual labor to work with that's interesting. Let me just take a step back here. So I liked what he said in this podcast, but the thing with Facebook campaigns is like now with the attribution that is like all skewed since iOS 14.5, it's very hard to specifically exclude people that have seen or never seen your stuff, right? Just very hard in a sense that like you would have to have so many exclusions. Again, I know about media buying. I understand what it is, but I'm not the doer in that sphere. I have a partner that's doing that. It's Nicolas Mario on Twitter as well. So but still we talk strategy and we build it together. So when I say retargeting, like it's mainly because we have like our cost cap structure on the Facebook ad side of things that are just set up to just make our first order profitable. And it's targeting broadly people that could have a different email, could have a different phone number, could have bought under a different profile on our site. Like, so of course there's going to be some little overlap. Again, I'm not the big brain of the ads world and stuff like that, but we know that we might be, what I said earlier, like repaying for customer. Like it might happen that like somebody that have bought from us and or is excluded from a campaign see something on Facebook as well, like a list or a segment. Like it happens. So we're more of a kind of like an holistic brand approach with like, hey, listen, we know that in marketing and in brand in general, you need about like 40, I don't know what's the latest data on that, but like 42 touch points with somebody so they keep thinking about you, remembering you and stuff like that. So we don't over-index too much on the fact that retargeting doesn't work. We just think of it as like a marketing brand action more than a performance-driven necessarily only acquiring new people with a specific clear-cut list that is exactly like we're just a bit more broad. The CPA is great, the NCPA is great, so we just keep spending on that.
Got it. Makes sense. Okay, cool. Switching gears a little bit. Email, 40% revenue. What's the story there?
That's interesting. That's I think it's a bit skewed because of Black Friday that was just behind us. So look, I'm looking at this since April last year. So like I'm looking from April to today. And keep in mind that most of the people that are in our newsletter list are not people that are just subscribing and then waiting to buy. Most of them are coming from our stores, which are our customers.
Paid customers. So,
yeah, they've bought something, they know the brand, they've used the brand, literally they had like something in their ears, necklace, bracelets. So like I think we're a bit lucky in that sense because this is not a super cold email list. It's people that mostly have bought before. Yeah, warmish. That's probably why it's a bit tired. So if I look at the Black Friday, if I look at the last, I think when there was the last cohort that I looked at, I think I was looking from last week, from the last 90 days compared to the last 90 days, just to see in terms of ratios what it was looking like. And it was between 32 and 37%. So that's very interesting for us. Yeah. And listen, we're not gods at email marketing. I'm still learning a lot. We are testing things. We have 2 languages, eh? So we have to market everything into languages with the small team that we have. So when we thought about it, it was like, oh my God, to send 3 newsletters, we have to make 6. A minimum, like unless we do segmentations. Right?
I mean, yes. So and that's just newsletters. Like then there's offers, and then there's new launches. I mean, there's like 100 different emails, obviously.
Yeah, the marketing calendar is quite a thing.
I can only imagine. Talk to me a little bit about your retention flows or retention emails. What kind of emails do you send to bring back customers, and how? Talk to me about the specifics of those emails. What is the content that goes into
it? Let me tell you that I'm very bad at this. First, we have one, and it's the win back flow.
You're doing great so far, by the way.
Okay. Because like I said, okay, let me just also give a bit of context about Pilgrim. Pilgrim was like the startup. Pilgrim Canada was born 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years, 6 years this year, and my CEO is a retail mastermind. Like he knows retail like the back of his hand. Like he knows retail and wholesale. So they've built, obviously, naturally, they built the business retail and wholesale first.
Of course.
So the e-com was kind of like, in my head, it's weird because it's the direct access to customer without having to buy a lease or blah blah blah. But then, like, I understand the play that he made, and I'm kind of playing catch up with the email and the like I switched the whole tech stack like 8 months ago. Like I restarted the business 8 months ago in a sense.
Oh my God.
The online operations, and like to understand clearly like what's making what. So building flows, testing them, plus the fashion aspect of the business, which is like it's super fast. Like we always have to produce new campaigns, send outs, and blah blah. Like the campaign work that we have to do is huge on a recurring basis. So some of my time, not all, but some of my time is spent to actually building the infrastructure of the business. And keep in mind, we're a team of 4, so we're like 4 plus an agency that's doing the ads.
That's a very small team.
Yeah, and by the way, half the team works on retail most of the time, so it's kind of 2.5%. It's fun. So I don't want to give myself like a bit of an excuse to not have like more retention flows, but it's actually on the pipeline this year as of January to just make more like, hey, you haven't bought in 90 days. What can we do? Hey, you've looked at that, but you didn't buy in X amount of orders. Like, could we understand more? Why not did you come back? Like, it's on my plate for this year. Yeah.
Let's talk about the one that you have right now. Can you
any question?
Yeah. I mean, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
It's super simple. Like I could actually, let me see if I can find I'll talk in the meantime so it's not boring for people that are not watching the video. But like so the win back was super simple. We work with an agency to build the first logic at the core. Let me see if it's live. So oh my God, I'm gonna be so boring. So it's a flow of 3 emails, and it's just, did people place an order? Like if somebody signed up, didn't place an order, actually placed an order, they would be in that flow and they would get that, I think, after 75 days. So we launched it a few weeks ago, so it's not triggered yet, but it's waiting on a few people to be sending that specific time frame of a flow. And it's a 3 email sequence. Like it's a, did you place an order? If so, you're going to get this in 75 days. If you didn't come back, obviously, then if you don't engage with that email, you're going to get something 15 days later with a little, I think we have an offer in the second email. And then we have, 10% off. And the third email, if you don't engage, we get something similar. I think it's 15
or 20% probably.
Yeah. Plus some social proof in the email. Like it's very basic. We're redesigning everything. Yeah, we're redesigning everything like as of next week just to make sure that like it's a bit more on brand, but you get the gist of it. Like we're gonna test this flow, we're gonna see if it works, if it's nice, and yeah,
you'll take it forward from there. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, cool. Coming back to something that you mentioned very early on, or was you have advised several companies. What are the top mistakes? What are the top mistakes a DTC brand make when it comes to retention?
If you'd ask me, like in my last 7 years, the top mistake from any CEOs or marketing team internally, not necessarily DTC, and I'm going to answer the DTC from what I know now in the last 8 months that I've been super focused on that. But previously, it would have been accountability. People have a lot of difficulty to be accountable to things they have to do. Like, you know, that to-do list that never end? It's kind of
I
like
do.
the
I have
pain.
one. I have a
Right? So
similar one.
accountability, when I was consulting a lot, like accountability was hard because there's always fires. There's always things that are not moving like the way they should, or like problems, which is part of business, right? But then accountability towards things that people want to happen is often hard, I find, in terms of consistency and actions. This is what I found. And the big, like, that's the, before I'm full DTC. Now, I would say that the biggest problem is lack of simplicity. Lack of simplicity. Yeah, people love a complex fucking system, man. Like, why are you complete? Like, it's already hard to manage like a few apps, and when you have like 20 that are not really talking to each other, and like structurally, like they're slowing you down, you have too many steps for processes, you have no quality assurance of anything going out. Like, it's just like the constant chase of top line kind of blinds people towards more of a like, oh, let's do more and it's gonna work more type thing. But like, when in fact it's kind of the Steve Jobs approach was like, do less, but do it better.
Exactly. Yep.
So
Makes
boring
sense.
as a realization, but that's what I found on the field, you know, because I consult with a few DTC brand as well.
Yeah, no, I agree, because when I consult my DTC brands, and I'm from a SaaS world, which is 10x more complicated. I mean, they somehow love complex stuff, like, you know, visitor is coming, you pass it through clear. What was that company
engineer
called?
type folks, they love a good complex thing. Like,
Oh my
it's like,
God.
it's mental
It's like,
masturbation. Like,
yeah, it was insane. And I'm like, guys, like, you just
not
need
everyone,
active
not everyone.
campaign. Not everyone, of course, but I'm like, you just need one email convert kit, and like just send them emails and make the copy and the design better, and you will have better results. Yeah, it's annoying to see that that's not the case, and most of the time
it's just not instinctive. It's like people instinctively, they think that if they do more, they're gonna get more. But the reality is, like, if they do less and focus more, they're gonna get more.
Exactly. I love that. I think that would go as a quote in the.
I should tweet that. I'm gonna tweet that right now.
Oh, please do. Please do.
I'll tweet it later.
Yeah, of course, no problem. But do tweet that. That's a good quote. Let's end this. I mean, we are almost at time, but let's end this with,
oh wow,
what are your 3 predictions for retention for your brand as well as DTC in general?
Let me give you a silence while I think about it. So I have one. So I think that people are gonna enter like a phase of austerity. Like, that's what we've been seeing with the Q5 that just kind of ended, like the little bump after Christmas. And I've seen a lot of people trying to be more, I don't want to say like bootstrap minded, but like more profitability focused. And that means that they're going to think a lot more about the quality of their products. And like I said, maybe the days between purchase and how they can shorten that window for customers. So in terms of retention, the fact that you want to be more profitable, they're going to get to the conclusion, or like one of the conclusions, that you have to bring your customers back.
Yeah. You can't just keep on acquiring new ones.
Yeah, they have like, I spoke with people on Twitter about that, like in DMs, like the great entrepreneurs, they understand that retention is the game, because if you don't have to pay as much to acquire people or reacquire them because like they had a bad experience or something, you make your money when they come back. Like, it's the reoccurring model, it's the recurring model, it's the guaranteed sales, in a sense, the LTV over like more than 6 months. Like, it's that I think is going to be more of a, not a focus, but it's a prediction that I'm making right now. It's just that people are going to care more about retention just in general, because it's smart to do so.
It is definitely smart to do so. And one of the reasons I'm starting this podcast is basically people don't know. There are 2 reasons people don't focus on retention, and that's just my observation. One, they don't know what to do. Okay. They have no idea.
The black box, right? It's like, what do I do?
You can do so many different things. You can get easily lost in that. And then you're like, okay, like, we'll drop it. Let's run some ads, you know? So that's easier, problem right? 1. Easier. Problem 2 is retention is always an afterthought, because, you know, brands are being forced to acquire more customers, get more revenue. But I think there was a statistic, a little bit old statistic. It was from Salesforce customers. It said that, like, if you focused 5% more on retention, your revenue increases by 25% or something like that.
Wouldn't be surprised. Compounding the value of people that already bought from you, like, it just makes sense.
And like, why won't you do that, right? So there are like n number of things. You can run a community. You can you can do retargeting ads. You can do email, like n number of things, right? One of the reasons to do this podcast with in-house e-commerce marketers is to ensure that you're getting it from the horse's mouth. You're not getting it from some rando in a corner who's preaching retention.
No, we're living it, and I'm telling you, it's hard because you're like, you want to do 80% of your time on acquiring. Like that's like every week we look at the new sales. So like you don't necessarily say like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get a lot of new sales from old people. No, you're like, okay, so if we spend more on Facebook, we get more sales. So it's like the natural the natural way of looking at it.
Natural instinct.
Yeah, it's the way companies are structured. Like if your incentives is aligned into like your investors payback structure or whatever, like I don't know, many people have different business structures, but for us, we're bootstrap, God bless. Like it's super nice. We don't have that pressure, but we want to grow. We want to take market share. We want to be a more important player. And you asked me earlier, like, what are my 3 predictions? I gave you one. The next one is like product is gonna be king. It's not about like dropshipping. It's fun. It's fun, but if you want more retention, well, it might. Like, listen, I don't know enough about dropshipping to shit on it, but I think the quality of a product.
Every dropshipper I've spoken to in my career, they have said like, I mean, we have switched to our to our own production, right?
Yeah.
Because it works to a certain point, but people catch on early. They will see like, okay, this product is not authentic. This thing is breaking. And you have no way to actually fix that because you don't own the product, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, dropshipping is a whole different concept, but
it's another conversation. It's another business model for different people.
Yeah, it is for sure a different kind of lifestyle altogether. But for this conversation, DTC businesses, yes, product is gonna be huge. Product is gonna be king. I think
Cody is, right? It always is.
Yeah, Cody keeps talking about it as well. Like if your product is shit, none of the campaigns will work eventually. Like you might get some sales.
Yeah. Well, you might acquire new people that don't know about you, but then when they discover they don't like it, don't use.
Yeah.
Oh, and, like go ahead.
Yeah, so that actually brings back to retention, right? So I mean, you bring the customers, but eventually you'll hit a ceiling where you cannot acquire more customers. You'll just have to upsell your existing customers, right?
But how are they gonna buy again if you don't like your thing?
Yeah, if your product is crap. So
yeah.
That's the thing.
Another thing that I think it's interesting is like that people don't talk enough about is I think the negative word of mouth. People can't quantify it, but negative word of mouth is the death of you. Like think about it. If you get 20 tickets coming daily, like for example, you get 20 tickets. How many people complained to their wives or whoever they have in their life that they didn't send the ticket? They just chose to not buy again. I'm done with it.
So
like negative word of mouth, I think it's something to just consider that it exists and what you can do to actually not fix your business, but like be more self-conscious that like people might not like the amount of tickets you get might not be a reflection of the amount of like word of mouth that's getting generated or like positively or negatively.
That is so true. I mean, I used to love this brand a year back, and suddenly their products, like it was a face cream, and suddenly their products started feeling itchy, and I got rashes on my face. I'm like, what the hell is going on with this product? I messaged, I'm a very active customer. I messaged customer support and like, what's happening? No response. Like never got a response. So I'm like, okay, I dropped it. And
we have an 8-hour policy.
I don't care enough about it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And if they cared about you, you would probably said something like that. That's why I tell my CX team, like, which is one person, where I tell my team like that. You have a manager and somebody that answers tickets, and I oversee it. But like, if it has to be, every ticket has to be taken care of within 8 hours of business days. Like, if it's on a Friday night, of course, like I get it, you're not there, but like we have automations for that. But like that's also something that's important. Like we see a lot of people coming back because of the ticketing, like all the customer experience side of thing. Like we're getting inspired a lot by Zappos and what they're doing with like it's a judgment call in the tickets, meaning like do something that's smart for the customer. Don't just read the policies and copy paste them. Like just think about what you would want in that situation. If that's obviously if you're not getting shit on and insulted and blah blah blah, like that's a different emotional state, but these people are strong. People in customer support, like the front line of the business, they're strong.
They have rhino skin. I call them rhino skin. Like they have rhino skin. Nothing goes through them. It's amazing. how they
Yeah.
process them. All right. Wow. This was a lot. Like, and SMS, we talked about Facebook retargeting ads, we talked about Klaviyo flows. It was amazing. And we talked about
It was
the
fun.
product being the king.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was delightful. Simon, thank you for being on the show. And
pleasure.
before you head out, where can people find you?
Twitter, man. Just hit me up on Twitter. You'll find everything you need. You'll laugh. You will unsubscribe. You will follow me. Like it should be fun.
Follow
I
you
tweet a lot.
again and follow you again.
Yeah. I tweet a lot of just stream of consciousness stuff because I think it's the most fun. I've stopped thinking about growth there, but it's very fun. It's just hit me up on Twitter and DMs. It's on
Awesome.
my phone. It's the only social app I have.
I love Twitter. I contacted you on Twitter. So
see, exactly.
What's
it's
your
at Simpaq? You were
Simpaq.
asking like SEEMPAQ.
SEEMPAQ. Awesome. I'll be sure to link that. But that's Simon for you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
It's 2023. It should be easy to work with creators by now, isn't it? Yet most of us are still stuck in spreadsheets, scouring databases, and paying for inauthentic content from creators who don't really care about your products, do they? That's where Bounty comes in. Bounty is a Shopify app that puts TikTok, UGC, and partnerships on autopilot for your store. Bounty works by incentivizing your customers to share videos on TikTok after they purchase. Users get paid on a CPM basis, and all content is automatically saved in the app where you can manage usage rights and Spark codes in just a few clicks. Bounty also supports gifting with automated order creation, and with invite flows and links, it's easy to leverage Bounty's incentive structure for any creator you want to work with. When you're ready to start automating UGC and creator marketing for your store, just visit bounty.co for a demo. Once again, that's bounty.co to book your demo.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Retention Road. If you like this podcast, please subscribe on YouTube or leave us a rating and review on Apple and Spotify. Thanks again to our sponsor, Bounty, for supporting the show.